In Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill presents faith as one of the essential forces behind achievement. At first, the word may seem difficult. Faith can be understood in many ways. For some, it has a religious meaning. For others, it means confidence. It may sound like optimism, hope, or belief in something not yet visible. In Hill's philosophy, faith is closely connected with the way a person relates to a chosen aim. It is not a feeling, it is not simply a wish, it is not blind confidence that everything will happen without effort. Faith in this context may be understood as an inner state that supports action before the final result can be seen. This is important. Most meaningful achievements begin before there is proof. Before the business exists, before the book is written, before the skill is developed, before the audience appears, before the result is visible to others. At the beginning, there is often uncertainty. There may be only an idea, a desire, a direction, or a possibility. And at that early stage, the mind must decide how it will relate to the unseen result. Will it reject it too quickly? Will it doubt it constantly? Will it treat the aim as impossible before any real effort has been made? Or will it give the aim enough inner support to make action possible? This is where faith becomes practical. Faith does not remove difficulty. It does not remove uncertainty. It does not guarantee that every desire will become reality. But it can give a person the inner permission to begin. And sometimes, beginning is impossible without that permission. A person may have a desire and still remain motionless. A person may have knowledge and still avoid action. A person may have opportunity and still hesitate. A person may have talent and still withdraw from the path. Why? Because somewhere within the mind there is a quiet refusal to believe that movement is possible. The person may think, this is not for me. It's too late. I'm not ready. Others are better prepared. I will probably fail. It is safer not to try. Such thoughts may sound reasonable, especially when they are repeated often. But repeated doubt can become a form of inner instruction. It teaches the mind to accept defeat. It teaches the emotions to prepare for disappointment. It teaches behavior to avoid risk. And over time, the person may begin to confuse caution with wisdom. Faith, in Hill's sense, interrupts this pattern. It creates a different inner instruction. It says, this direction is worth effort. This aim deserves attention. This ability can be developed. This difficulty is not final. This beginning may lead somewhere. Such faith is not the denial of reality. It is the refusal to let present limitations define the whole future. This distinction is essential. Faith should not be confused with fantasy. Fantasy ignores reality. Faith works with reality but refuses to be imprisoned by its current form. Fantasy says the result should arrive without transformation. Faith says transformation is possible if thought, desire, learning, decision, and action are aligned. Fantasy wants reward without discipline. Faith accepts discipline because the aim matters. Fantasy collapses when difficulty appears. Faith becomes tested when difficulty appears. This is why faith must be connected with action. A belief that never influences behavior remains incomplete. A person may say, I believe in my goal, but if no time is protected, no skill is developed, no decision is made, and no step is taken, the belief has not yet become practical. In Hill's philosophy, faith is not separate from effort. It is one of the forces that makes effort sustainable. It helps a person continue before external confirmation appears. It helps a person move through the period when the result is still invisible. It helps a person endure the gap between intention and evidence. This gap is often difficult. At the beginning of a path, there may be no applause, no visible progress, no proof that the effort will succeed, no guarantee that the chosen direction is right. In this phase, the mind may become restless. It may demand immediate results. It may compare itself with others. It may look for reasons to stop. It may interpret delay as failure. Faith helps hold the direction long enough for action to gather strength. Not because success is certain, but because the direction has been chosen. And because without sustained movement, no meaningful result can be tested. It is advisable, therefore, to understand faith as a disciplined belief, not emotional excitement, not temporary motivation, not a simple positive mood. Disciplined belief is quieter. It does not need constant noise. It does not need to prove itself every moment. It returns to the aim even when enthusiasm is low. It supports action even when emotion is uncertain. It allows the person to say, "The result is not visible yet, but the next step is still worth taking." This is where faith becomes closely connected with auto-suggestion. Hill emphasizes the role of repeated thought. The mind is shaped by what it repeatedly receives, accepts, and returns to. If a person constantly repeats images of failure, limitations, humiliation, or defeat, those images begin to influence expectation. If a person repeatedly directs the mind toward purpose, possibility, and disciplined action, those patterns may begin to influence behavior differently. This does not mean that repeating words automatically creates reality. It means that repeated thoughts can train attention. They can strengthen emotional direction. They can influence the way the person interprets obstacles. They can either weaken or support action. For this reason, faith is not only something one has. It is also something one cultivates. It can be strengthened by repetition, by language, by chosen images, by the memory of past progress, by association with supportive people, by the careful protection of attention, and by action itself. Action is especially important. Each small, completed step gives faith something concrete to stand on. A page written, a call made, a lesson studied, a habit practiced, a plan improved, a fear faced, a decision kept. These small acts become evidence. They tell the mind movement is possible. Capacity can grow. The aim is not only imagined, it is being served. In this way, faith and action strengthen each other. Faith supports action before evidence is strong. Action then creates evidence that strengthens faith. This cycle is very different from passive hope. Passive hope waits. Disciplined faith moves. Passive hope asks life to change first. Disciplined faith begins with the person's own alignment. Passive hope is disappointed when results do not appear quickly. Disciplined faith understands that achievement often requires time, correction, and persistence. This does not make faith easy. There will be moments when doubt returns. There will be moments when the aim seems distant. There will be moments when effort feels heavier than expected. There will be moments when progress is slow. Faith does not mean that these moments disappear. It means that these moments do not automatically become final authority. Doubt may appear, but it does not have to lead. Fear may appear, but it does not have to decide. Delay may appear, but it does not have to end the process. Faith gives the chosen aim a voice inside the mind. And that voice says, continue with intelligence, adjust when needed, learn what must be learned, and act where action is possible. Do not surrender the direction too quickly. This is why faith plays such an important role in Hill's idea of success. Achievement usually requires a person to move before certainty exists. If certainty were required before every action, many things would never begin. No new skill would be learned, no new project would be started, no meaningful change would be attempted, no difficult conversation would take place, no uncertain path would be entered. Faith makes movement possible in the absence of complete certainty. But again, this must be understood carefully. Faith is not proof. Faith is not guarantee. Faith is not a substitute for planning, knowledge, persistence, or correction. Faith is the inner condition that allows these things to be used with consistency. It gives desire endurance. It gives planning emotional support. It gives decision strength. It gives persistence a reason. And it gives action permission to begin before the result is visible. From this perspective, faith is not weakness. It is not naivety. It is not escape from reality. It is a disciplined relationship with possibility. It is the decision not to let present circumstances become the only definition of the future. It is the ability to hold a chosen direction in the mind long enough for action to form around it. So it may be useful to ask, what aim requires more faith? Where has doubt become too powerful? What thought is being repeated so often that it has begun to shape expectation? And what would change if belief became not only a feeling, but a disciplined support for action? Perhaps faith begins when the mind stops asking only, is success guaranteed? And begins asking, what action is still possible? What capacity can be developed? What step can be taken now? What belief would help this direction survive long enough to be tested? In this sense, faith is not the opposite of action. Faith is the inner state that makes action possible before the world gives full confirmation. This has been Gabriel from Thinking Mind.